What up, Claytriots? It's your boy, technically Clay, streaming at you from sunny St. Louis, Missouri. It is pretty nice out today. Last night there was a like a thunderstorm slash tornado warning situation, but it only lasted for the tornado warning only lasted for like a couple minutes and then it went away. So, glad we survived that one. And yeah, so let's see. Since the last time you saw me, I didn't actually raid with my guild last night, even though we had asked not to like ahead of time because we were gonna go to a bar and do some Stranger Things trivia. We decided not to do that. And so but we then just decided or at least I did. I just wanted to sit back and play different video games than WoW, and so I don't know if they actually got ahead of the curve yet or not. I have not checked the Discord. Trying to look right now. As far as I can tell, they haven't posted about it, so I'm gonna assume that we didn't get it. I'm gonna pretend at least that we didn't. But yeah, and then other than that, I went to bed, woke up. I didn't get a great sleep last night. I don't know why I kept like waking up and going back to sleep throughout the night. And then what did I do? I woke up, had breakfast, went to work, more of the same. I worked out again today. That's technically 4 days in a row, although yesterday is an optional day for me. So, but yeah, I'm really liking, I know it's only been less than a week so far, but I'm really liking this upper lower split right now. I'm sure I'll get bored of it eventually, but right now I'm really liking it. Um, I guess they did get through it. I was gonna check Warcraft logs, but I didn't want to go that deep into it, but okay, they did end up beating the final boss on Voidspire, so I guess they got ahead of the curve on at least that raid. But they're doing a weird thing with WoW this expansion where there's like multiple like they're releasing multiple raids at a time during the expansion, so or during the patch. So but yeah, anyway, where was I? Yeah, so I worked out, then I finished work, then I made an interesting dinner today. Well, we had some leftover mashed potatoes, and so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna make this like Asian inspired like beef, like it'd be like a ground beef sort of rice bowl, like seasoned ground beef with like, seasoned with soy sauce and sake and mirin and all that good stuff and sugar. And then throw in some vegetables. And normally you would put it on top of like rice, but because we had extra mashed potatoes, I was like, F it, I'm just gonna put it on top of the mashed potatoes so that we can get through that. And it turned out pretty good. And there's leftovers for tomorrow, so I'll put it on rice tomorrow. But yeah, it was pretty good. I liked it. And then I just came right here to be with you, the viewer. Hello. Welcome to the stream. I hope everything's going good for you as well. So yeah, today we're going to be talking about some more news, the more news of the day. We got, I guess I'll just go ahead and get right into it. Oh, and today I will be drinking something different than Fitz is. I'm drinking a Mr. Pibb. New branding and everything. Look at that. Isn't it beautiful? It's great. I think it's great. You should think it's great too, because I think it's great. And I'm the influencer here, okay? So be influenced already. Okay, sorry. Let's get back to the news, the actual news. So today I'm going to start with another press conference. This was just from 20 minutes ago, 35 minutes ago. This is breaking, everybody. I don't know if there's going to be anything good in it. Like I said, like I always say, I don't pre-watch anything. I'm just going to, hope that there's some good nuggets in here, and also hope that because I'm getting to it first, people will enjoy watching the content. So let's go ahead and watch it. I'm sure there'll be tons of good questions. I'm sure there'll be tons of bad questions, and we can judge all of the reporters and our big beautiful president on how good his answers are going to be. So let's go ahead and get right into it.
Mr. Meloni, can you do You had a conversation on the Pope, Mr. President, on the Pope. The Pope criticized people who, quote, manipulate religion for political or military gain. Do you think that he's talking about you, sir?
It's very important that the Pope understands. Very, very important. It'd be nice not to say it. Iran killed 42,000 people that were totally unarmed. They were protesters. Iran can.
Okay, I think the number of protesters has been stuck at around 40,000 for a little bit. So my ticker that I have of it continuing to go up continuously, it's not the number doesn't go up right now. We need that number to go up, Mr. President. I want to get that number up to 60,000. Okay, the next time you say anything, it better at least be up to 50,000.
Not have a nuclear weapon. If they did, every country, including Italy, where he's stationed, every single country in the world would be in trouble. So we're doing very well with respect to that, having to do with the whole situation on Iran. The blockade is amazing. It's holding up very strong, very powerfully. And I think we're making a lot of progress on that. But the Pope has to understand Iran, very simple. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. The world would be in great danger.
I don't think the Pope needs to understand that. I don't think that's the Pope's job. Generally, the Pope's whole thing is like, I want peace. Like, I want world peace. And usually the Pope goes out and says, yeah, it would be nice if we could have world peace. He seems to think that the Pope is some sort of like diplomatic figure. Like maybe he thinks the Pope is the president of Italy or something. I don't know what he thinks, but the Pope's job is not like there was a really funny thing in his tweet, I think, where he said the Pope is weak on crime. It's like, dude, he's not a government official. That's not his job. Like, but that's a really funny response. I'm loving that one. That one was pretty good. Come on, why can't the Pope just understand that a nuclear armed Iran is a threat to people everywhere, you know?
Mr. President, would you meet with the Pope to even out your differences because Catholics are torn?
I don't think it's necessary.
I agree that I don't think it's necessary. This beef can remain firmly on Twitter. Like this beef does not have to enter real life. I'm just saying. What are they going to do? Have like a debate? Like, is he going to debate the Pope? Like, it's like one step away from debating God himself, you know?
Mr. President, you spoke with Prime Minister Modi just a couple of days ago. What was the conversation like? What is it that is on the table now?
I had a very good talk with him, and he's a friend of mine from India, and he's doing great. We had a very good conversation.
Are you considering extending the ceasefire with Iran?
With who?
With Iran.
We're doing very well, I can tell you. Maybe it'll happen before that. I'm not sure it needs to be extended. Just so you know, Iran wants to make a deal, and we're dealing very nicely with them. We've got to have no nuclear weapons. If we do, that's a big factor. And they're willing to do things today that they weren't willing to do 2 months ago.
Do you have any news about Ukraine? Do you have any news regarding peace in Ukraine?
Will Hezbollah stick to the ceasefire? Are you confident about that?
I think they will. I think it's going to be, actually it's very exciting because it's 48 years. We're going to be meeting with Bibi Netanyahu, as you know, and the president of Lebanon. And I had a great talk with both of them today. They're going to be having a ceasefire. And that'll include Hezbollah, and I think it could be number 10 for me.
Yeah, so the Hezbollah thing, I mean, I have a video about it later, but I really think that if you, I'm assuming Hezbollah is going to agree. I think it just went into effect, the actual ceasefire. Like I see something from 50 minutes ago, Hezbollah fires rockets at Israel before ceasefire, 3 wounded, 2 severely or whatever. So, but like Hezbollah wasn't invited to be a part of the negotiations or anything. So, you know, you can hope that they'll be, I think that like, the way Israel usually does ceasefires is that the other group has to cease firing and Israel just strikes as much as they want or whatever. That's how historically the ceasefires have been. That's not going to work with Hezbollah. And also, I think that they, you know, in my opinion, they should be forced to retreat from the territory during the ceasefire as well. But that's just my personal opinion.
Do you have any news regarding peace in Ukraine? Do you have any news regarding peace in Ukraine?
Ukraine is moving along. I wish they could get along, frankly. A lot of people are dying in Ukraine. We'll see what happens. There's things happening there. We're focused so much right now in Iran, seeing if we can get that completed. And I think,
Yeah, if anyone ever wondered what an empire overextending itself looks like, it is this right here, where he has to be like, what, Ukraine? Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, totally. We're totally still doing something with Ukraine.
and I think if you look, the stock market is good. The oil prices are coming down, and it's looking very good that we're going to make a deal with Iran. And it's going to be a good deal. It's going to be a deal with no nuclear weapons.
Mr. President, when is the next in-person round of negotiations on the war in Iran?
They're all important. I mean, it's not a question of around. All of them are
When will
important.
the next in-person
Probably,
meeting take
maybe over the weekend.
place? Will you send the Vice President?
Maybe over
President,
the
will you send the
Just
Vice
so you
President?
understand, the blockade has been incredible. It's held. They're not doing any business. They're unable to do any business because of the blockade. And so the combination of having no Navy, having no Air Force, having no anti-aircraft equipment, they have nothing. Everything is gone, including their leaders. Now they have a new set of leaders, and we find them very reasonable.
This is just kind of like, I mean, I kind of want to go into it more in the next video, but this is just kind of like manufacturing victory out of failure, essentially, is how I would describe it. They got the ceasefire. That's true. I think China really helped them out with that. They got the temporary ceasefire, which before the ceasefire, like, Iran for sure held 100% of the cards because every escalation was met with an equal escalation. And so it was really just like people understood that, oh, Iran is like going to dictate some of the terms of the of negotiated peace. But then after the ceasefire, Iran no longer is no, at least not at this time, matching escalation for escalation. Like, so Trump closes or blockades the blockade or whatever. So now Iran's not shipping oil potentially. I don't know. It's still a little unclear whether that's actually happening or not, whether Chinese tankers are going through or not. But Iran like is not currently under the ceasefire, you know, essentially like shutting down all of the other oil facilities in the region, like Saudi Arabia, or, you know, bombing all of those facilities as like an equal retaliatory measure, you know. So like there is that. And then of course the media and Trump all instantaneously glob onto that as like some sort of success. Like I don't know if they actually believe that it's a success, that this temporary reprieve that Iran is allowing them to have, where they can do these things and not get the equal escalations that they have been getting throughout the war. I don't know if they actually believe that they're having some sort of strategic effect or not. I'm not really sure. But like, we'll see what happens when the missiles start flying again, though. Like I said before, if you're going to enforce this blockade, you're going to have to be pretty close, I would guess. And those ships are going to make excellent target practice for the Iranian drones and missiles. So depending on how close they are, either drones or missiles. But I'll probably get more into that later. So let's continue watching. What is it?
20-year minimum to stop enriching uranium. Would you,
Well, we haven't agreed to any. We haven't agreed to any. What we have is we have a statement, very powerful statement, that they will not have beyond 20 years. That they will not have nuclear weapons. That's beyond. There's no 20-year limit.
Any updates on Greenland, Mr. President?
I think that
I didn't hear that question. I don't know if anybody else did.
Todd Blanche is doing a very good job, from what I'm saying. I mean, all I can.
Todd Blanche, I think, is acting attorney general, if I remember correctly, taking over for Pam Bondi.
Say thus far, I think Todd Blanche is doing a very good job.
Yeah, but he hasn't been memed into oblivion, and that's what I want. That's what I want from my attorney general. That's who he is, right? Acting attorney general Tom Blanche or Todd Blanche. I don't know. I'd have to go double check, but.
If there's no deal, would you be willing to extend the ceasefire, or will the fighting resume, Mr. President?
I would say the fighting. If there's no deal, fighting resume.
Okay. And then on gas prices, how much longer will Americans continue to see these high gas prices?
That's the other thing as well. By completely blockading Iran, if they are going through with that, like I said, it's kind of up in the air. That also imposes much more cost on Americans with prices of gas, and also all of our allies across the globe who are going to face shortages and oil shortages and gas shortages like way earlier than they would have back when Iran was actually shipping oil through the Gulf and or through the Strait. But Iran can also ship oil, like they can ship oil through land routes. It's just not as efficient. But yeah.
Well, they're not very high. If you look at what they were supposed to be in order to get rid of a nuclear weapon, with the danger that entails. So the gas prices have come down very much over the last 3-4 days. I know, and that's what ABC says. But the fact is that if you look at the stock market's up, everything's doing really well.
Dude, I don't care about that.
The big thing we have to do is
bring the gas prices back down. I do care about that because the last time I filled up, it was like $50. It sucked.
We have to make sure that Iran does not have a nuclear weapon, because if they do, you want to talk about problems, you'd have problems. So very important is that Iran does not have a nuclear weapon, and they've agreed to that. Iran's agreed to that, and they've agreed to it very powerfully. They've agreed to give us back the nuclear dust that's way underground because of the attack we made with the B-2 bombers. So we have a lot of agreement with Iran, and I think something's going to happen very positive.
Do you think any Americans actually care if Iran is nuclear armed? Like, I'm going to be honest, I don't think so. I worry more about Israel being nuclear armed than Iran being nuclear armed, because Iran has a history of being very methodical and strategic and like deliberate about everything they do, and Israel just seems like a fascist Nazi state who wants to take over territory like all around their borders and stuff. So I care much more about Israel having nukes than Iran.
Very complicated subject. It's I don't think we're waiting. I think we're moving very fast. It could happen pretty quickly.
How long you could sustain the blockade on the Strait of Hormuz?
The what?
How long you could keep the blockade on the Strait of Hormuz?
We're doing very well with the blockade. It's very routine for us. The Navy is incredible. And I think the blockade is doing very well. It's no ship is even thinking about entering. No ship is going past our Navy.
Why are you fighting with the Pope? And are you worried it's upsetting your
No, I don't. I have to do what's right. The Pope has to understand that.
I have to do what's right, not like that heathen, the Pope. How does he even know what's right? It's not like he's talking to God or anything.
I have nothing against the Pope. His brother's MAGA all the way. I like his brother, Louis. I'm not fighting with him. The Pope made us.
It's probably why his brother didn't get Pope, if I'm going to be honest. I don't know if he was a cardinal or not, but I'm going to guess that if he was, they probably passed him up for maybe that reason.
Statement. He says Iran can have a nuclear weapon. I say Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And if the Pope looked at the 42,000 people that were killed over the last 2 or 3 months as a protester with no weapons, no nothing, I mean, you take a look at that. So I can disagree with the Pope. I have a right to disagree. I have a right to disagree with the Pope.
What do you say to people who see that, who see your criticism?
You can't have, look, nothing, I have no disagreement with the fact the Pope can say what he wants, and I want him to say what he wants, but I can disagree. I think that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. If they do, the whole world would be at jeopardy. The Middle East will be blown.
I mean, you can disagree with the Pope. I disagree with the Pope all the time. I think that you shouldn't, as the president, be like feuding with the Pope like he is like, I don't know, like you're in high school or something. I guess it's more important than that. But like, yeah, you shouldn't be. I don't think it's very becoming to have our president having like a Twitter beef with the Pope. You know what I'm saying?
Up
yeah.
And the whole world will be.
You can disagree with them as much as you want.
We're very close to making a deal. That'll be a great thing. The Pope has
just know that if you disagree with him, you're disagreeing with God. That's the only problem, I guess. But
understand, Iran has killed more than 42,000 people over the last few months. Think of it, protesters without guns, without anything. They were totally unarmed protesters. The Pope has.
Okay, first of all, the number. I mean, the number is much lower. I'll be like, I thought we were over talking about this, the whole protester thing, but the number I would say is probably around like 3,000 people were killed. A lot of them were armed, to be frank. It came out that Israel was the one who was arming a lot of these groups and, you know, rebellion factions. Now, I don't know the whole story of it, but America says they were all unarmed, sweet little peaceful doves. Iran says that they were attacking and killing police officers, and that's why they were shot. I do know that in America, we beat the shit out of our protesters all the time. It's like our cops' favorite thing. It's like their favorite pastime is to go beat the shit out of like what I would consider actual peaceful dove protesters who are just sitting around in a circle being like, don't cut down this tree or whatever. Then a cop comes over and tear gasses them, tears their hair out, and then stomps on their throat, you know, like, so that's what I'm used to when it comes to being a peaceful protester in America. So I don't know. I just don't think, I mean, most Americans don't really think, like, they never really think about it in terms of like what we actually do to our protesters. I think we always live in the world of American exceptionalism, so we pretend like we don't brutalize our protesters as well. But yeah, I don't know. Just saying. You got a glass house over here too, Trump.
Understand that this is the real world. It's a nasty world. But as far as the Pope and saying what he wants, he can do that. Now, I know the Pope's brother. He is a big MAGA person. He's got MAGA all over his house. His name is Louis. He's actually a great guy. And I'm sure the Pope is a great guy. I haven't met him. But I disagree with the Pope. If the Pope would allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon, you can't do that.
I don't think that's what the Pope is saying. I'm just saying, I think the Pope is just saying, like, stop doing war crimes, please. Like, let's not kill children. Like, I don't know. I think that's like the main thing that he's saying. Like, okay, sorry. Last thing on the Pope. The Pope is giving a moral argument. The Pope is saying, morally, please stop doing this. The Pope is not giving like a strategic or tactical, like, geopolitical discussion. Like, that's how I would say that's what the Pope's trying to do. He's trying to give the world some moral clarity if possible, which I don't really think it's that possible right now.
No, not really.
Anthony Mashak from MTV Lebanon.
What?
Anthony Mashak from MTV Lebanon. I would like to ask you regarding congratulations for the 10th board.
Yeah, it's very exciting. With Lebanon, it's very exciting. I think we're going to have a deal. We're going to have a meeting, first time in 44 years. And Lebanon will be meeting with Israel, and they're probably going to do it at the White House.
When do you think, President, when do you think they will?
Over the next week or two.
Or the next week, and do you think this agreement can reach?
I do. I think they're going to. I think we will have an agreement between Lebanon, and they're going to take care of Hezbollah. But they're going to be working on Hezbollah right now. But we'll have an agreement between Israel, very important.
Lebanon can't do shit against Hezbollah, so there's that. That's problem number one when it comes to that. Israel can't do shit against Hezbollah either. So yeah, I mean, maybe if they teamed up to fight Hezbollah, maybe they could do something. But even then, it would be at great cost. Like we saw Yemen go to war with with the Houthis or whatever, and look at how that turned out. You know what I'm saying? And like Saudi Arabia, you know, tried as well, like Saudi Arabia with the help of Yemen and stuff. So like, I don't know. I'm very skeptical that they would even be capable of disarming Hezbollah.
Importantly, and Lebanon.
Will you support our Lebanese army as well?
I would, yeah.
Iran's going to
Has Hezbollah agreed to the ceasefire? I mean, how do you even?
They're all agreeing. It's a very nice little package for about a week. And we're not going to have lots of bombs dropping, and we're going to see if we can make peace between Lebanon and Israel.
And this one around the Pope, Mr. President, because there was a group of bishops that did put out a statement saying the Pope isn't merely exercising his opinion, he's preaching the gospel. I mean, what do you say to people that view this as
I
an
want him
attack
to
on
preach the
Catholic
gospel. I'm all about the gospel, but I also...
I'm a little bit tired of Pope talk at this point. I'm going to be honest. I didn't think this story would keep going so hard. I think that he actually angered some like right-wingers, which is why people are focusing more on it, because people care a lot more when he angers right-wingers than they do whenever he angers, like, you know, lefties or Dems or independents. Like, so like they just give outsized influence. So maybe that's why. I don't really know why.
I know that you cannot let a certain country, which is a very mean-spirited country, have a nuclear weapon. If they did, they would use it, and I think they'd
War before lowering interest rates. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't agree. I think we should have lower interest rates.
So you will visit Lebanon?
going to execute 4 more protesters, reportedly, including the first woman protester. What do you tell Iran?
Well, tell that to the Pope.
President Trump will.
What do you say? Tell that to the Pope.
You want to patch
Trump?
things up with
Tell that to the Pope, people. Tell that to the Pope.
That Iran is going to.
The Lebanese people love you
Is that?
so.
Did you just hear that? Iran is going
I'm going to start using that phrase. I'm going to say, tell that to the Pope. If someone says something like that I don't care about, tell it to the Pope.
to execute 4 people, including a woman.
President Trump, the Lebanese love you so much. Will you visit Lebanon?
Do you extend the ceasefire? What makes you to extend that?
I don't know if we're going to have to, but if we need to, I would do that.
President Trump.
Wait, that's important.
The
Sorry.
airlines, what are you telling the airlines and the oil companies about the way you're going to open up the Strait of
So if you
Hormuz?
look at the oil, and if you look at the price we're paying, it's about half what people thought it would be if you did what I had to do. We had to take this journey to the Middle East in order to get rid of a nuclear weapon. There would have
Well, it's also about to get worse as well. I've heard that like the last shipments of oil, like oil is a slow moving good. Like I watched a video or something where like those oil tankers out on the high seas, they're going about the same speed that you go on a bicycle. So it takes a while for the oil to actually reach its destinations and for impacts to be felt. I've heard estimates of like months, essentially. Like for America in particular, I think we're the last, like a couple months maybe. So like I think we recently got our like because we import some oil and gas from there. But I think most places, I guess, they're getting their last shipments of oil from the Strait of Hormuz pretty soon. And then after that, that's when like the full 20% of the oil market is just completely gone, at which point the price raises up even higher. Like these sorts of impacts are not something that are just like they go up and then they come back down immediately. It's that they have a very slow ramp up time, and then they have an even slower like ramp back down time in terms of like the global impact. It's gonna like, and because oil is used in so much other stuff as well, that impact is going to last even longer because it goes into like all aspects of society. So I think that prices are still going to rise even if the war was over tomorrow. I think prices like gas prices, energy prices, fertilizer, like all the things that are needed from that are byproducts of gas, like trucking, any goods or services being moved across the country, grocery stores, like prices, food prices, all of that is probably still going to be like start going up and remaining high for at least a few months, I'd say, even if it was over tomorrow. But yeah.
If we didn't hit it with the B-2 bombers, or if I didn't kill the Barack Hussein Obama deal, the nuclear deal, which was a disaster, we would have had nuclear weapons exploding in the Middle East and beyond. I believe I've been able to stop that. I think we have a very successful negotiation going on right now, and I think it'll be, if it happens, it'll be announced fairly soon, and that'll give us free oil, free Hormuz Strait, everything will be nice, and I think your oil price will go down to lower than what it was before. And I think a lot of good things will happen.
Just for clarity, you're willing to extend the ceasefire if there is
We'll
no
see.
deal?
I don't know that we'll have to. Ideally, we'll, but if I needed to, I would.
The Lebanese
Okay,
people
that's
love
on the
you
First
so
Lady.
much. What do you say? The Lebanese people love you so much. What's your message for them? And you will visit Lebanon after
Yeah,
this deal?
I will do that. At the right time, I would certainly go there.
You know, that guy's like a Lebanese expat who like despises Hezbollah, if I had to guess, like from how he's talking right now.
You know, Putin doesn't want to stop it apparently. He keeps bombing Ukraine. You think this war has the potential to go on for years more?
Well, it should have never started. If I were president, the war in Ukraine never would have started with Russia. But it's going on. Hopefully, it'll get over soon.
Tell it to the Pope, Trump.
Melania came out last week and said she had no link to Jeffrey Epstein.
Who did?
The First Lady, Melania Trump.
She had none.
Why did she come out and say that last week?
Because the fake news was saying she did, and she had none, and I think that's been proven. It bothered her that the fake news was being fake news, so she just wanted to clarify.
Were you surprised?
Who's taking care of Hezbollah? Do you think that they are destroying the deal that you are trying to make?
We're going to see how it all works out, but they'll be working and coordinating. If you know Lebanon, right? So they'll be working with as well.
If we fire Jay Powell,
Interested in acquiring Iranian oil?
What?
Are you still interested in acquiring Iranian oil after this?
Well, we'll see. I mean, we have a very good relationship with Iran right now, as hard as it is to believe. And I think it's a combination of about 4 weeks of bombing and a very powerful blockade. The blockade is maybe more powerful than the bombing, if you want to know the truth.
Are you going to make the Arab countries
I just, the blockade is just such a nothing burger. I'm just so tired of people pretending like it's anything. It's just not. I just don't think it's that strategically significant. I'm just getting annoyed by them talking about it like it's some like the best, most important strategic decision that has ever happened in wartime ever. Like, it's so annoying.
a portion of all of the costs?
I think they'll make that. I think they're going to make that contribution. I think the Arab countries, because we've done a lot, I think they'd make a contribution toward the cost. Yeah.
United Airlines, American Airlines,
Not been involved.
It's so hard to hear these questions sometimes. Sorry. Maybe I should be repeating them when I do hear them for people. But I don't know if that would get annoying if you can hear them.
Iranian assets without any condition if you make a deal?
We're going to see what happens, but I think we're very close to making a deal with Iran. You'll be the first to know, but I think we have a chance. And if that happens, oil goes way down, prices go way down, inflation goes way down, and you're going to have, much more importantly than even that, you won't have nuclear holocaust. Thank you.
Okay. Well, wait, sorry. I got to turn the... I guess I can let it play. I got to turn my light on real quick.
Well, possibly, but I think a deal could be reached. Possibly. I would be foolish not to. I mean, if we're close to a deal, would I extend? Yeah, I would do that. But we're close to a deal. We're getting along very well with the new Iranian leaders. It really is, it's regime change. These are people that are a lot different than we were dealing with at the beginning. As you know, they're no longer around. They're no longer with us. But we have a very good relationship. And I think there's a very good chance that we're going to make a deal. Also, Israel and Lebanon, I think there's a good chance that they'll make a good deal. So,
when are they coming here?
Any reaction to Russia's overnight attack on Kiev? They killed 20 more Ukrainians.
I think it's terrible.
Mr. President, are you going to send any cabinet member to China before your visit?
Well, I have a great relationship, as you know, with President Xi, and I look forward to being there. We have a very special relationship. So I look forward to being in.
Also, that's another thing that we haven't really talked too much about is like, if America does do this blockade and actually enforces it against China in particular, like there's going to be ramifications to that because China doesn't want Iran's like the oil that it gets from Iran to like, I think it's like 8% of their energy production or whatever comes from Iranian oil. So like they don't want that source to go away, particularly because it's strategically significant as a like not depending on America, but also they have Russian oil as well. So they have multiple sources that they could, you know, that they could probably move to. But in the end, I think it's in China's strategic interest to keep Iran like sovereign over their oil. So like if things get bad enough, China can always like go back to implementing, you know, export controls or whatever, you know, whatever it wants to get Trump back, like to get him to back off. So, but also, yeah, the global impact of the strait being completely closed, I think would cause America to blink like probably long before China would feel the need to get involved anyway. So.
In China.
How's the preparation going? Mr. President, thank you. Mr. President, you impose sanctions on Rwanda because they keep violating the Washington Accord.
Yeah, I do.
But President Kagame just said he don't care about sanctions, and he said he will not withdraw from Congo. His troops will continue in Congo. What is your reaction to
We're
that?
going to look into it very strongly, but they do have very big sanctions.
Mr. President, there was a G20 meeting in Washington today. Why did you invite Poland instead of South Africa?
Well, Poland's a great country. We like it a lot. We're friends with Poland. The president is doing a great job, so we invited him.
I have a feeling I know why they didn't invite Africa. They didn't like that whole end in apartheid thing, man. It really grinds their gears that the 90% black population, uh, finally threw the yoke off of their 10% white oppressors, and now they're committing white genocide. We heard about that story as well. All the South Afrikaners or whatever that came to America because they were fleeing the white genocide, but then they were like, they got their first hospital bill, and they're like, man, America sucks. And then they went back to, I guess, get white genocided over in South Africa. That was a funny story, man. I wish I was streaming back whenever that one came out.
I saw your Truth Social post about Bruce Blakeman in New York. He's being denied up to $7 million of public campaign funds in New York by partisan Democrats. Have you seen that, and what's your reaction to it?
I can just tell you this. Bruce Blakeman is running for governor. He will be a great governor if he wins. I don't know that he wins or not because it's New York, and people cheat on elections and a lot of other things. But Bruce Blakeman is a great gentleman. As you know, he comes from Nassau County, which is a Democrat area, and he wins by a landslide all the time. And if Bruce Blakeman gets in, your taxes are going to go.
There are these 10 missing scientists with access to classified stuff, nuclear material, aerospace. They've all gone missing or turned up dead in the last couple months. Based on what you've been briefed, what do you think is happening here, and do you think that this is connected or totally random?
Well, I hope it's random, but we're going to know in the next week and a half. I just left a meeting on that subject, so pretty serious stuff, but we're going to be not.
I would assure you that if it was actually like Iran assassinating them or something, I guarantee you the CIA already knows about it, like knows what's happening. So if he's going to like meetings about, like, they would know about it the instant it happened one time. And so if he's going to meetings about it, like I would be surprised that he wouldn't already have complete knowledge of like every assassination that has happened in the past couple months or whatever. Like I don't know, that's why I'm kind of leaning towards that just being a nothing story and maybe like a psyop of some sort, because it just seems, number one, I don't think Iran or Russia or anybody really has the capacity to do these sorts of assassinations, and maybe even or like maybe they have the capacity, but like not the will to risk the diplomatic fallout that it could cause. But then also it's like so CIA coded to me of these nuclear scientists. Like it just gives me that vibe of a psyop. So I'm just using the vibes to try and read the tea leaves of what's going on here.
Hopefully, I don't know, coincidence, if you want it, whatever you want to call it, but some of them were very important people, and we're going to look at it over the next short period.
Is it possible that some foreign adversary is in the United States scooping these people up?
Well, Biden had open borders. It wasn't very hard to get here, but we've gotten many of them out. We've caught many people, many very...
Yeah, it's weird. As soon as you closed the borders and got rid of all the migrants, all of these people started dying. I assure you, if they wanted, so I do think that they could assassinate these people, actually. I kind of take that back. I think that Russia or Iran could get one of these people assassinated, because I don't think that they have, I don't think they have, security details or anything. I think they are just private citizens. But I think that, like I said, the CIA would have known about it if it happened once, let alone 10 times. So the president would have known about it if it happened once, let alone 10 times. So unless he's just putting on a really good poker face right now, which I don't honestly think Donald Trump has a very good poker face, and he's pretending like he doesn't know this, but he actually does know what's going on. I'm still leaning towards this being like a psyop or something. But let's keep going a little bit longer, and then I'll end it on this
bad
one.
People, including thousands of murderers that we've taken out of our country, thousands of drug lords that we've taken out of our country, hundreds of thousands of prisoners that were let into the U.S. that we've taken out of our country. As far as the scientists are concerned, we'll probably have a pretty good answer over the next week.
And with the peace talks in Iran, does it have to be a big deal all at once, or would you accept a little deal to start?
Well, I have a little deal. I can make a little deal. I want to get
deal.
it done. and get back to keep going with low. You know, our pricing is doing great. As soon as the war is over, we're going to be lower than we were 2 or 3 years ago. So I want to get back to that. We had to do something. We had to make sure that Iran never gets a nuclear weapon. And we're at that. They've agreed to that. They've totally agreed to that. They've agreed to almost everything. So maybe if they can get to the table, there's a difference. They agree. They're going to get to the table with a pen. We'll have that over with. And then we can focus on our great economy. And also, you know, I inherited the highest prices in the history of our country, the worst inflation in the history of our country. I'll get it down to a very low number. We had it to a very low number, and it's still low. But the most important thing right now is to make sure Iran can never have a nuclear weapon.
Mr. President,
Would you ever go to Pakistan to seal the deal yourself?
I would go to Pakistan, yeah. Pakistan has been great. They've been so good. Islamabad, I might go, yeah. If the deal is signed in Islamabad.
I will say Pakistan's international credibility is going through the roof right now. They're getting, you know, by being the ones who kind of got this whole thing going, got it all like together. Like they're really flexing their like international diplomatic muscle, which is interesting in the world of geopolitics. That because I feel like they were relatively not that like prevalent on the international stage, and now they're really just stepping into the limelight. So kind of interesting. It feels sort of similar to how the Houthis kind of came out of nowhere and like stepped into the world stage as like, you know, much more influential and powerful than they were before. So yeah.
Islamabad, I might go. The field marshal has been great. The prime minister has been really great in Pakistan. So I might go. They want me to
Mr.
go.
President, the First Lady last week called on Congress to further look into and uncover the truth on the Epstein files, the Epstein saga.
Yeah.
Do you believe that there should be a public hearing for more of these Epstein survivors?
Well, I'm okay with it. I think we've had a lot of public hearings. I'm okay with it, but I understand that the women didn't want to go under oath. That's what I heard. That the women, the victims or whatever, they refused to go under oath, which.
Yeah, so he's implying that they're lying, like, which is bonkers for our president to do. He should really just keep his mouth shut, I think, when it comes to this stuff.
It was a little surprising. No, Melania felt strongly about it because she was accused of that I met her through Epstein, but it turned out to be totally false. It was a falsehood.
Mr. President,
Does these ceasefire also include Iraq and region?
Are we talking about the one with Lebanon?
Lebanon, Iraq,
Yeah,
and
well, the whole thing. So we just made a deal with Lebanon. As of 2 hours from now, we have a ceasefire with Israel and Lebanon, and that'll be great. And they'll be meeting.
Okay, I feel like we're starting to get repeats of, you know, stuff we've already heard. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and move on and hope there's nothing crazy or good in that latter half. So because I got a whole bunch of other videos here and I don't want to fall too far behind. It's already 45 minutes into my stream. So let's go ahead and move on then. I think I'm going to skip that one and go to this one. We're going to see a couple different stories here. This one is from Sky News, which I think is like Australian Fox News, if I remember correctly. Am I wrong? I think, isn't it owned by Rupert Murdoch? Sky News owner. Maybe I'm wrong. Sky News owned by Rupert Murdoch. Oh, Murdoch founded it in 1989, but sold it to Comcast Corporation in 2018. So, okay, it's not currently owned by Murdoch, but you can probably guess what type of media it is. But this is an interesting one because we're seeing, usually you'd expect, you know, Fox News, Australian Fox News, you'd expect them to be really on board with the messaging of the blockade was the best thing ever, and we have all the leverage now. Everything changed on a dime as soon as we implemented that blockade. But this title has me thinking that they're not so sure about it over here at Sky News. So this title is Iran has more leverage than ever and potentially a winning hand in war, says military analysts. So, so let's go ahead and hear what they have to say. I mean, I think that that's more closely aligned with what I believe as well. So, but yeah, let's go ahead and watch this video and see what's going on.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us here on Sky News, we've just heard from the Pentagon. US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has been giving us the latest on the conflict in Iran. Let's just listen briefly to what he had to say.
To Iran, choose wisely. I pray you choose a deal, which is with...
I had to choose, by the way, between this press conference or the helicopter one that Trump did. I chose the helicopter one because it was more recent. So hopefully I didn't miss anything too crazy in this one either.
Within your grasp, for the betterment of your people and for the betterment of the world. In the meantime, the War Department is locked and loaded.
He said that so many times. Get a new praise.
Let's bring in our military analyst, Sean Bell. Sean, I suppose it runs along similar lines to what we've heard, haven't we, from Pete in previous press calls. But here, there were, again, a series of warnings to Iran.
Yeah, I think there was sort of two halves to this, weren't there?
Yeah, and I think that they needed to, like, I do firmly believe that America needed this ceasefire more than Iran did. And that America was going to start running out of missiles, going to start running out of interceptors. They really needed some time to move more assets to the region in order to keep up, like, with what they were, keep up with the operations that they were trying to do, both offensively and defensively. And so, like, yeah, they probably did need to reload to an extent. And judging by the troop movements, I'm also guessing that this is going to, like, I'm leaning towards, like, this war is going to heat up again after the ceasefire. I don't know if there'll be an extension or what, but I do think that just judging by the troop movements and the rearmament, I'm assuming that they're going to start back up again.
Again, a series of warnings to Iran.
Yeah, I think there was sort of two halves to this, weren't there? There was the sort of military delivered, General Dan Kane, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, gave a very measured view, but an explainer really about how the blockade is working, and I think genuinely quite interesting.
That's how they always do that press conference. It's essentially good cop, stupid cop. Like it's you got the normal dude who goes out there. I always skip the normal dude, to be honest, because he's not good content. But the normal dude goes out there. The military guy goes out there and gives, like, just a detailed analysis, like, of what has been going on, like where they've been targeting, and, like, obviously they're still doing classic, just like normal America propaganda spin, but then comes in stupid cop, aka Keg's Breath, who comes in and just, like, exaggerates everything to the moon and, like, pretends like America is, like, like accomplishing everything, all of your hopes and desires, every birthday wish that you've ever made since the time you were 5. Like they have accomplished that and more with all of their strikes in Iran. So that's kind of like how they always do those press conferences. It's a pretty funny, like, format, to be honest, because you get to watch the juxtaposition of these two people, like different varying levels of dogmatic American propaganda. But yeah, okay, I'll keep watching. I feel like we haven't even gotten into the substance of this yet. I've just been yip-yapping.
The blockade is working, and I think genuinely quite interesting. Likewise, you had Admiral Brad Cooper giving a bit of what's it like for the troops, and of course the military machine is second to none. It's amazing. The contrast to that, of course, as you say, Pete Hegseth, he was in very, very bombastic mood, and he was issuing a lot of threats still to the Iranian military. And I think
he probably ripped a few shots before he came out. That's probably why.
Took out key points, really, one of which was the blockade. We're locked and loaded. If you don't start negotiations, we're going to come after you. He talked about the Straits of Hormuz, saying Iran's not under control, we're controlling it. I don't think there's anybody outside the domestic US audience that believes that's true. He talked about going after the energy infrastructure.
Hey, and I'm in the domestic US audience, and I don't think that's true either. So
this audience that believes that's true. He talked about going after the energy infrastructure. Remember, before the ceasefire. He was threatening that they'd bomb Iran to the dark ages, as it were,
back to the,
against the energy infrastructure. And finally, which was quite outstanding, he was having a go at the press. He was literally saying, look, you're not following my messages here. We're the greatest military in the world. And I think the key point for me that comes out of that.
Yeah, that's a sign of weakness. If you're yelling at the press because you if you're yelling at the press for doing reporting that is not perfectly in line with the American State Department, that's a clear sign that you are losing. That's probably the clearest sign that you're losing the war, is if that's the case. So if you want people to stop like assuming that you guys are full of shit and just lying about this stuff, then I would really suggest you stop like acting like petulant children who were caught, I don't know, who were caught like with their pants down or something, you know?
Is that understandably, Pete Hegseth is very proud of the US military. They've done an amazing job to fulfill their military objectives, but that has not delivered strategic success. And right at the start of this, President Trump said, Iran doesn't have any cards to play. It feels like they have got some leverage now.
Yeah, and this is where we're at. It's about talking up who has ultimate control of the Strait of Hormuz. But essentially, when you strip that back, what is actually being achieved by this blockade?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a picture of the sort of live tracker, as it were, here. And, you know, when you look at it tactically, the very threat of action is enough to stop any traffic going through because of the insurance market. We've covered all that before. So Iran has attacked some shipping in there. Therefore, it has managed to put its foot on the throat of one of the key arterial routes. 20 to 25% of global energy goes through there.
Yeah, exactly. They can stop it entirely if they want. Now, before there were some ships transiting, the ones who paid the toll and the Chinese flagged ships that were going through because China's allied with Iran or whatever. But yeah, they could essentially set that barrier there because it would raise the cost for insurance an ungodly amount if any ship actually wanted to go through.
In a way, it feels quite bizarre that America's then claim, no, you don't control it, we control it. There's quite rightly, American blockade is incredibly impressive. That was what Admiral Kane was talking about. No other nation in the world could do it the way they are. But I'm not entirely clear how if you blockade a strait that's already closed, how that actually helps. And there are reports that empty ships are coming in and out. There's also reports that China...
Well, it does, to some extent, impose some pressure on Iran. Like, I'm not going to deny that. Like, if you do... Because before there were ships that were going through. It was just that they were the ships that were going to Iran, through Iran's toll system that they set up. Now it's just no ships. So Iran is not going to be able to sell nearly as much oil on the international market as long as this is open. But that's a double-edged sword because that means America and all its allies and the entire globe is going to feel that impact a lot more as well. There's a reason that we lifted sanctions on Iranian oil when we started this war. And it was to try to keep the supply of Iran's oil flowing as much as possible through the duration of the war. So by cutting that off, we're also yes, it imposed some cost on Iran, but I think it imposes much more cost on the rest of the world.
Because it gets a lot of its energy. Although President Trump is sort of dismissing that worry, China must be getting concerned that it's not getting its oil, and that's vital to its economy. So there's undoubtedly pressure and stuff going on behind the scenes. But the big picture is there's a tiny fraction of any trade going through here at the moment. That's causing the energy crisis, and that's not going to be resolved until the war is negotiated and finished.
But by continuing this US blockade, are they not essentially depriving the Iranian regime of much-needed funds, revenue, and also weaken the economy further to make them in a more perilous, weaker state?
Yes, I mean, there's no...
That's what I just said. I already explained. Yes, they are. A portion of Iran's economy will suffer, but there will be much more impact and worse impact on the rest of the world, essentially accelerating the timeline of people's political will being able to sustain their desire to allow this to continue.
No doubt that Iran is probably, we've reports that it was earning double the amount of money from its exports of oil because of the high price of oil, and also potentially charging tolls to get through. Now, what you don't want to do is embolden the Iranian leadership, so the blockade is probably more focused at that. Part of the issue here is that you scratch below the surface, there's a lot of tankers that have already made their way before the blockade, before the war started, that are full of oil. Iran had anticipated this might happen, and therefore I've read reports that China's got enough oil to last it till June, July time.
Yeah.
So the point about this is the timeline is on Iran's side at the moment. It feels like President Trump it does not have time on his hands. It looks like he's positioning threatening rhetoric to position America and trying to position Iran for a resumption of the talks. That there's a lot of talk about maybe they'll starting again on Monday. Ceasefire finishing Wednesday, that's not going to be enough time.
Yeah.
Will they extend the ceasefire? And therefore going at that with sort of gunboat diplomacy with threatening, it hasn't worked so far. It'd be really interesting to see how Iran receives all of this rhetoric.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think that Iran is in a I would say just like a slightly worse bargaining position just by accepting the ceasefire. And that's just because they're not actively, escalating alongside of America. When America does something like this blockade, if they did this blockade during wartime, like while they were shooting missiles, then Iran would have started shooting missiles at the naval ships in the blockade, and they would have been shooting drones at the various like oil and energy assets around the region, including Saudi Arabia, their pipeline. They might close the Red Sea, the Bab al-Mandeb Strait with the Houthis. They would have done a lot more to amplify the cost of America trying to impose something like this on Iran. And then they would have they would have been able to keep that sort of like tit for tat response. And they weren't able to do that because they were in the middle of a ceasefire. So I won't deny that they have like slightly less leverage, just because America will always perceive any sort of inaction to, anything that they do, even if it's as pointless as this secondary blockade. It will always interpret every single inaction as like total capitulation and the people are on the back foot and we just need to keep pressing or whatever. It's like I always think back to like when Ukraine had that brief stint where they were pushing like Russia back. Like they had a counter offensive that like pushed Russia back pretty early on in the war. And America could never just take that as like, this is the time to negotiate. They were like, no, we must keep pushing more and more because we got this like minor win or this perceived minor win. And then it led to like terrible strategic defeat afterwards when Russia inevitably pushed them back again. I kind of feel it's going to be something like that, where America feels like they've gained some huge strategic victory through this like performative action of the blockade, the secondary blockade. But like, I mean, they're probably going to try to get some sort of resolution, maybe, but I don't know. I still think they're going to, I don't know. It's maybe not the best analogy, but it's like a kind of similar mindset, I guess, is what I would say. And empires, like the empire tends to have this sort of overconfident perspective on everything, especially when it's trying to propagandize to its people and to itself to an extent. Like, I think a lot of the people in the military and stuff potentially buy, or like in like the leadership positions like Hegseth and all them might actually buy into American propaganda as opposed to just create the American propaganda. So
interesting, no mention of the Lebanon Israel situation at the minute, and considering the news that we brought just in the last few moments, in that Lebanon is saying that there are no planned talks with Israel, according to a couple of their officials. So where are we with this latest round of supposed peace talks between the two?
The bottom line is probably we don't know. My concern is that some of these talks is a bit of theatre. If you remember, the Israeli campaign into southern Lebanon against Hezbollah doesn't sit comfortably with President Trump calling a ceasefire to try and get some sort of negotiated solution and an off-ramp. So almost certainly Trump has put pressure on Netanyahu to just back off a bit, have some talks. Those talks we understood at Washington was probably on a diplomatic but at an ambassadorial level, not at a key level. In some respects, I can understand why Lebanon doesn't want to get involved in the talks, because actually Lebanon isn't the problem. The problem is Hezbollah. And all that Israel will say to the Lebanon is, you haven't sorted out Hezbollah. If you don't sort it out, we are going to. We're obliged to. Hezbollah says, well, we're going to carry on anyway. Lebanon can't do anything about it. So in a way, it feels like the wrong people are getting around the table. We talk about talks, but they're not talks that are going to lead to a resolution of this conflict.
Yeah. And
he's stealing my shtick. I was saying they should have invited Hezbollah if they cared about an actual ceasefire. So as well as the one you got to negotiate with.
Finally, we have essentially a standoff in the Strait right now, as the globe pays ultimately the price for rising prices in energy, and energy, no matter whether it's residential or industrial. Time is clearly more on Iran's side here than the US, is it not?
No, you're absolutely right. And if you remember, before the war started, the Strait of Hormuz wasn't even an issue. It wasn't on the list of priorities at all. I mean, the core question...
I think we often forget that, like, yeah, it was completely open. It was considered international waters before. It will never again be considered. It will be de facto Iranian waters after this war, because Iran has proven that they can control it militarily. So, yeah, I mean, there's that.
Here is America went in with a core of stopping...
That's what war does, though. It takes the bluster, and it takes the words that they say. Like, Iran has said for years that they would close the strait if America ever engaged in an act of war against them. And war is where you finally get to see what the actual capabilities of a country is, as opposed to just the propaganda. And we're seeing right now that Iran was much stronger than a lot of people thought. They were able to completely and totally militarily control the strait. So yeah, I mean, I think that we're learning a lot right now. And I think, like, Iran will emerge from this as another, at least regional, like the regional hegemon, essentially. Nobody will be able to, dictate to it what's going to happen in, like, that globe, in that region of the world. Like, that's kind of the way that I see, just the general global power dynamics going in the future.
Iran getting a nuclear weapon, stopping it delivering those nuclear weapons, ballistic missiles, and stopping it being a threat to its neighbours. That military campaign, conducted ruthless efficiency by one of the best militaries in the world, has been devastating, but it hasn't delivered the outcomes that America wants. And although President Trump said Iran doesn't have any cards in negotiation, therefore we're going to bludgeon it into submission, it doesn't feel like Iran's on the verge of surrender. And it certainly feels that Iran has now got more leverage, more cards than ever had before, potentially even a winning hand.
Yeah, and it never works. Like, America's, like, whole idea of an air campaign somehow leading to a strategic change in a country the size of Iran is insane. And also, like, America's constant assumption that doing as many war crimes and killing as many women and children as possible is going to actually lead to any sort of actual strategic outcome is ridiculous. The only way that you actually get, strategic outcomes is, one, you have to have a plan, like an actual military, a political objective that you are trying to attain. And two, you have to be able to commit the necessary resources and forces to attain that goal. And so that's why there was never going to be any strategic outcome from this, because we didn't have either of those. We didn't have a plan, like what our political objective at the end of this war was, and we were not willing to commit the necessary, as far as I'm aware, at least so far, not willing to commit the actual resources necessary to achieve that strategic vision, which would include, like hundreds of thousands of troops, a draft, like all of that stuff. Like, if we wanted to actually, like, get rid of Iran's nuclear program entirely, or get rid of all of its ballistic missiles, or, regime change, like we did in Afghanistan, and then like all of that sort of stuff would have taken way too many resources for the American populace, I think. But okay, let's go ahead and move on. I'm kind of falling behind a little bit here. So I wanted to watch that one because that was, like, I think a pretty good, relatively at least good discussion about, like, the realities of what's going on here. But I'm tired of dealing with reality, okay, people? I'm so tired of dealing with reality. I want to go over to Fox News World, where reality is whatever you make it, where reality is just what's inside of your head, what's going on right up here. That's reality. So we're gonna watch the opposite side, like the less realistic, more propagandistic understanding of what's going on with this blockade, I think. This is Fox News. Economic fury, Iran on the precipice of collapse, former U.S. envoy says. So let's go and watch this, man. I'm ready. I gotta get my Fox News goggles on, my Fox News brain, firing on all synapses. So here we go.
Also seen some reporting about the potentiality for in-person discussions again. Those discussions are being had, but nothing is official until you hear it from us here at the White House. But we feel good about the prospects of a deal. It's obviously in the best interest of Iran to meet the president's demands. I think he's made his red lines in these negotiations very clear to the other side, and so we are continuing to see how these conversations go.
And the White House sounding optimistic on the chances for a deal to end the war in Iran. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt saying a potential second round of talks would likely be held in Pakistan. Brian Hook is a former U.S. Special Representative for Iran, and you've negotiated against the Iranians before, including some of these folks. So the White House says they are hopeful. Is there reason for hope?
Dana, I think there is reason for hope.
And
that's largely because the diplomats have been supported by first military pressure with the military campaign that ran over a month. Now, this conflict has entered an entirely new phase, which is now being described as economic fury. And that's really the successor to the...
As opposed to what it was before, which was Epstein's fury. I think economic fury is still Epstein's fury, though. I don't really think there's that much of a difference going on right now. But let's see what he has to say. Maybe it is a completely new phase.
This conflict has entered an entirely new phase, which is now being described as economic fury. And that's really the successor to the maximum pressure campaign that was in President Trump's first term. I think this is tactically very smart. And that's because it comes at a time when the Iranian economy is on the precipice of economic collapse.
Dude, I've heard that Iran was on the precipice of economic collapse for like 20 years now. The sanctions, just one more sanction, and they will collapse in on themselves like a dying star. No, I've also heard the same thing about China for the past like 30 years, where they said China is on the brink of collapse. And look at China now. Like, China is basically like ascending to global superpower status as America retreats from the world stage. This is ridiculous. This is fantasy world, but that's why I come to Fox News. Sometimes I want to live in fantasy world. So I'll keep going.
Just consider some of these stats. Inflation in Iran is some of the highest in the world. It's running at around 50%. The currency has lost almost all of its value, and growth is at zero.
Dude, it's a wartime economy. Who cares? It's a wartime economy of a country that is under bombardment. I'm curious what Ukraine's stats on this are right now, or what Gaza's stats are. I don't think it really matters that when you're in a wartime economy, things like growth or currency debasement or all of that stuff kind of goes out the window, because all you need to do is keep manufacturing missiles and keep manufacturing drones, which I assure you they are doing. They're doing that as we speak. Okay, sure, dude, sure.
The Iranian regime relies entirely on oil revenue to pay its military and to pay its government and to subsidize
20%. The oil revenue is 20% of their GDP, I think, is what I've read. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I think it's 20%.
Subsidize its people. Those oil sales generate $140 million in revenue per day. That's over. This economic blockade of Iran is creating a massive cash crunch for a government that relies entirely on cash. So when their diplomats go to the negotiating table, they're coming to it.
Dude, the blockade is just such a nothing burger. Look, this is going to impact the world much more than it's going to impact Iran. Like I said, Iran's oil exports are like 20% of its GDP, or 20%. That's a lot, obviously, but it is a wartime economy. So things like GDP and stuff don't necessarily matter that much. It's like 20% of their revenue, essentially, right? They can still export that stuff. They just have to go over land routes, which is less efficient, but it still is possible to export it over land routes. And then the rest of their economy, that 80% I was talking about, is going to be doing just fine. Yeah, I don't know. That just seems Like, yes, it will have a dent. Yes, it will impact them in some material way. But thinking like it's some silver bullet, and also that those ships wouldn't immediately be targeted, like those blockade ships wouldn't immediately be targeted as soon as the hot war started up again. Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. If anybody in the Trump administration actually believes this and is negotiating from this perspective of thinking that that they actually have some sort of leverage or upper hand here, I like, God help us. God help us, because that is ludicrous.
From a position of weakness, and our diplomats are coming to it from a position of strength.
Right. So last week when they were there, J.D. Vance said, okay, here are the red lines that
Notoriously, something people constantly say is, I'm coming at a position of strength, you're coming from a position of weakness. Like, yeah, okay.
President
I
Trump
believe
has.
you totally.
They couldn't get to an agreement. No, so now you have even just 5 days of a blockade, and the Americans have a stronger hand to play. Will the Iranians be able to actually say yes or no? I understand that last week it was that they had to go back and ask. Will somebody be actually able to make a decision if they go back to Pakistan? Otherwise, is it worth going?
Well, I think it's only worth going to Pakistan if it's very clear that the Iranians are willing to come to Islamabad to get serious about our red lines, which General Kane earlier talked about. I completely agree with his analysis on this. We now have the leverage to get the deal that we've always wanted, the deal that has eluded Presidents Obama and Biden. This is a historic opportunity, and I think
Is he reading off a teleprompter? This seems like he's reading from a script. This is, maybe he's just that untrustworthy, but I don't know.
Obama and Biden. This is a historic opportunity, and I think President Trump has the leverage to get the deal around no enrichment, no centrifuges, no more of these long-range missiles. You have to stop funding proxies like Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas.
You are going to be sorely disappointed, my brother.
And all of these proxies that have killed so many Americans over so many decades. So I think the Iranian...
Oh, dude, you are going to be so disappointed. Oh my God. I can't wait for reality, for like these people to come crashing back down to reality, because there's going to be two things that it's going to be one of two things happen. Number one, like, is probably the best outcome for the world, is that Trump climbs down from his maximalist demands and makes some sort of reasonable deal based on the actual 10-point proposal that Iran made at the beginning. Like, that would be the best, right? I don't think that's probably what's going to happen, though. I think it's going to be option two, where they're going to start up the hot war again, and then Iran will immediately show them exactly why, like exactly why this blockade was a stupid idea, because the energy infrastructure would be targeted immediately. The oil pipeline would be targeted immediately between Saudi Arabia and the Red Sea. The Red Sea would be closed by the Houthis. Those Navy ships that are getting a little precariously close to be able to implement the blockade would all start getting targeted. And also the global energy market would, well, this is going to happen regardless, just because we're doing this blockade or whatever. The energy market would go insane and energy prices would become sky high. So that's basically what's going to happen. Some of it's happening now, but most of that would happen immediately after we go back into a hot war. And then these people would have to crash back down to reality again.
Regime is likely to make some concessions. They just need to be the concessions that honor our red lines. And I think it's a very good sign that during this ceasefire, while we have been opening the Strait of Hormuz, that the Iranian regime has not attacked any of our ships.
What?
And that seems to...
Dude, what did I just say? Like, America will take just any basic, like, standard practice of, like, negotiating or whatever, or any goodwill, any just bare minimum goodwill, like what Iran did here, of not attacking their ships during the ceasefire. We'll take it as capitulation. This happens all the time. It's so annoying. It's not capitulation to just, like, during the time that you are negotiating, not fire on ships as an act of goodwill. Like, this is a untenable position to be negotiating, to be negotiating with. It is completely insane. These people are delusional. This is exactly why Trump made the mistake of going into Iran, is because they have these delusions of America's actual strategic capabilities. America has shown itself to be just so much weaker than people thought that they were over the course of this war. Like, everybody in the world can see that America was essentially just a paper tiger, unable to open the strait, unable to defend its allies, unable to provide enough military enough missile interceptors to all of its allies, unable to protect its military bases in the region, unable to protect its radar stations, getting all of its planes shot down out of the sky. Like America has proven itself to be weaker than anybody could have ever possibly thought, like from a military perspective. And then one tiny little thing happens where they do a blockade and they all start fantasizing about how this is going to lead to immediate regime collapse again. It's like they can't learn anything either. Oh my God, I'm gonna go crazy, dude.
Me, like they are trying to create good conditions to negotiate something with the United States.
Understood. And at the same time, Brian, just quickly, President Trump put this on his Truth Social about Israel and Lebanon, about the talks that we hosted this week at the State Department, trying to get a little breathing room between Israel and Lebanon. It has been a long time since the two leaders have spoken, like 34 years. It will happen tomorrow. So that took
Nice.
place. Here's
You forgot the nice. Come on.
what the Israeli Prime Minister said about continuing Hezbollah strikes.
Our forces are continuing to strike
Demon.
Hezbollah.
Demon.
Concurrently, we are conducting negotiations
Satan, get him off my screen. Ugh.
with Lebanon. These negotiations have not taken place for over 40 years. There are two central goals. First, the disarming of Hezbollah, and second, a sustainable peace.
Dude, he's a tiny dude. Has anyone ever noticed that? Look at how tiny he is. His face, like, he has a reverse Hassan problem. And that, like, his face is, like, way too big for how frail and tiny his body is. Maybe, like, they need to get some, like, I don't know. They need, like, he needs to, like, hit the gym or something. I don't know. He's looking pretty rough.
Does the current government of Lebanon want to rid itself of...
I'm sorry, I talked all through that. I screamed at him for being Satan, so I'll just go back and
We are
rewatch what
conducting
he says.
negotiations with Lebanon. These negotiations have not taken place for over 40 years. There are two central goals. First, the disarming of Hezbollah, and second,
Not gonna
a
happen.
sustainable peace.
Does the current government of Lebanon
Well,
want...
and also not going to happen because Israel will never allow sustainable peace. If there is sustainable peace, Israel sees that as an opportunity to invade. So there's never going to be sustainable peace as long as Israel's there.
to rid itself of Hezbollah? Lebanon
of Hezbollah.
to rid itself of Hezbollah.
Dana, I think it very much does. And these talks are historic. They haven't happened in decades. That's because Israel has never had a counterparty to sit down at the table with. The government of Lebanon doesn't control its own security and it doesn't control its own borders. Think about...
Yeah, clearly. Because it's not like... It's not pushing Israel out of its territory. Like it is not a sovereign actor, clearly.
Think about it this way. Hezbollah is Iran's army in Lebanon. And it's been there...
it's Lebanon's army, but yeah, Iran funds it, sure.
Since 1982. And before Al-Qaeda, no terrorist organization killed more Americans in the world than Hezbollah. Now that Israel has massively crippled Hezbollah, it has expanded the space for the Lebanese government to take control over its own country.
Nah. Hezbollah is stronger now than I think it's ever been, to be honest. I'm sure that they are going to have a huge influx of people, a huge influx of recruits from all of the war crimes that Israel is committing in Beirut. And the Lebanese army is incredibly weak. It's not going to be capable of disarming Hezbollah, and neither will Israel. Israel is not capable. Israel's army is also incredibly weak. They are incapable. Like they have a ton of military technology, and they are able to commit war crimes at a rate that is unprecedented throughout human history. But war crimes do not equate to strategic victory. And also, anytime they go up against actual, resistance groups on the ground, they are unable to actually make any significant dent in the actual members of that group. Like in Gaza right now, there's more members in Hamas than there has ever been. Hezbollah is currently, they're unable to take certain towns and stuff in the south right now because Hezbollah is doing pretty significant resistance operations there and lighting all of their Merkava tanks on fire. So Yeah, Israel won't be able to defeat Hezbollah, or like Israel might be able to temporarily hold territory. I'm not going to say that they can't do that. But they're going to get pushed out eventually, assuming that the Lebanese army doesn't like try to fuck with them. But if the Lebanese army disarms Hezbollah, then I got news for you. Lebanon is no longer going to be a country. Like Israel is going to take over the entire territory if the Lebanese army tries to get rid of Hezbollah. Or if they both if they both tried to get rid of Hezbollah at the same time or something. And even then, I'm not even sure that they would be able to, because the Houthis, the Yemeni army and Saudi Arabia tried to get rid of the Houthis, and they came back stronger than ever. So I don't know. I'm just very skeptical that they're going to any way disarm Hezbollah. There's also not the political will inside of Lebanon to do that. So, okay, well, I'm just going to go ahead and call it on that one. This guy was potentially one of the most annoying people. Brian Hook. I've got to remember that name. First of all, he talked like a robot. Like he talked like he was reading off a script or something. And also his points were just absurd. So, okay, let's go and move on. I'm going to skip the next one because I've already talked about Lebanon enough. So I'm going to go to this one. Oh God, it's Morning Joe. I always am like jump scared every time I accidentally pick a Morning Joe clip. I've said it before, but it's probably the most annoying show that I've ever seen. Certain clips aren't that annoying, but the smarminess and smugness of particularly Joe. But Mika more gives me like housewife energy to like a husband who like just says like shut up or something, you know, like, or stop talking, woman. Like that's kind of the vibe that I get from these two in terms of their commentary. But anyway, that's enough me rambling about the hosts of this annoying ass show. So this one is about RFK, people. We haven't checked in with the Maha movement in a while. And RFK there's something going on with RFK because he has like a fixation with dead animals. There's been multiple stories at this point of him like picking up dead animals, like roadkill off the road, and throwing it into his truck or whatever and driving it around. Like I think he brought a bear carcass somewhere at some point, like as a joke. Like he's like, hey, look at that dead bear. I'm going to put it in my car, like my SUV, and I'm going to take it out to the cabin and show everybody this dead bear that I found. Like he just has a fixation on roadkill and like dead animals. So we're going to watch this video about a new animal that he has apparently found a weird fixation with, and potentially even a sexual fixation. So let's go ahead and see.
Some breaking news. I think this also from the paper of record for Morning Joe, the New York Post. I believe it was the Post where I read this. Jonathan Albeer, apparently RFK Jr., while driving with his children in the car on I-684, a road that you and I both drive with Willie up to the orphanage to do our work.
Read it already. You can't just put this text on the screen and go into like a ramble about how you love driving on this road. This is insane text that must be read immediately.
Got out of the car, and while the kids were in the car, chopped off the penis of a raccoon. And put it back into the car and continued driving with his children.
Okay, it's one thing to like read this, right? Can you like, I want you to put yourself in that person's shoes. You're driving along, you're with your kids, you're on a family vacation, and you see a dead raccoon. Now, most normal people would be like, yeah, I don't want to go near that thing. But RFK, he's not a normal person. He thinks, let me get a closer look. Let me get a closer look at this raccoon. And so he goes up to this is POV now. You're walking up to the raccoon and you're like, oh, interesting. This dead raccoon. Oh, wait, what's that? And you see its little raccoon penis. And you're like, oh, I wonder how that works. I wonder what's going on with that. And you take out your pocket knife and then you slowly saw through this raccoon's penis and then put it in your pocket and then go back to your kids and they're like, hey dad, what were you doing over there? You're like, nothing, son. Don't talk about it. Or however RFK sounds. What's in your pocket, Dad? I said don't talk about it. Okay, sorry, I'm done. I'm done doing RFK voice. I'm bad at RFK voice. I'd have to do like the SpongeBob thing. So let's
into the car and continue driving with his children.
Well,
some would say it's the actions.
That face.
And this and several other friends deeply unwell.
Well, I remember the time when we were all going out in the car to the orphanage and we saw this disturbance on the side of the road. We wondered what it was. Now we have our answer. It was Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Wait,
let's remember.
Why did he do that to the raccoon?
Well, let me.
Why did he do that to the bear cub? Why?
So I was going to say, you thought.
I don't know exactly why, but I do have my thoughts. And hear me out. Okay, people, 1 second. Let me pull something up. Bear with me for a second. Okay, let me just pull this one up. Open in image and new tab. Okay, here's my theory. I have a theory, everybody. I have a theory, okay? I think that Robert F. Kennedy is death. I think he is the fourth horseman of the apocalypse and that he is death, okay? And he's this guy, I think on the left over here, on the pallid, like light green sickly horse or whatever, which I think is what death is traditionally portrayed. The fourth horseman of the apocalypse is traditionally portrayed as, okay? And the reason I say that is because let me pull it up, because death, the fourth horseman of the apocalypse, death, is all about like, you know, pestilence and illness and sickness and, you know, grossness and dead things and all that sort of stuff. And I think that RFK is starting to prove my theory a little bit like even more correct, because he already looked like death. We all understood that he looked like death. He is the embodiment of like pestilence or whatever, you know, like he has a very sickly demeanor. That TRT really doesn't help, and that red, like way too red skin or whatever, that leathery red skin, I don't know, he embodies, I think, like pestilence as well. But now that we're learning about his like weird fixation with like dead animals and decay and rot and like gross like things and stuff, I don't know, I think that I might be onto something here. I know that there's a few other horsemen, I forget what they are. Let me look that up too. 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Okay, we got what? We got Conquest. Which one's Conquest here? I think it's this one. Conquest, what would that be? Who would that be in the Trump administration? Stephen Miller, maybe? But this guy seems like he's kind of leading the charge, though. Stephen Miller is more of a background figure. Maybe it would be Trump himself. I mean, Trump does like to conquest things. I mean, he is a rapist, so there's that. Okay, what do we got here? What's the red horse? War. Oh, that's Hegseth. This guy right here is Hegseth all the way. I can see it. I can see it in his eyes. He's had a few too many shots before he got on this horse. This horse is like, please, your alcohol, it smells too, or your breath smells too much like alcohol. Get me out of here. So I think this guy's Hegseth. So we got Trump and Hegseth. And then who's this one? What is this? Famine. Who's in charge of, would that also be RFK? Because he's the one doing, isn't he in charge of like what pesticides are being allowed and all that sort of stuff? And, like crops and whatnot. That might also be RFK. I don't know. What do we think? Is RFK death or is RFK pestilence? The reason I lean towards death is because, is like I said, he has this weird fixation with like decay and rot and dead things. And so I don't know. Who would this one be? I'll leave that up to the comment section. If you're out there, if you're watching this video, tell me which one famine? Which Trump admin would be famine? I'll leave it in the hands of you, the viewer. Okay, sorry, I got a little distracted there. Let's get back to what I was watching before, which it was apparently Morning Joe.
You thought that the dumping of the body of a bear in Central Park would be the most bizarre story linking Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and a dead mammal. Because let's also remember, of course, he has a worm in his brain. Let's call that 2. So there's 2.
Oh,
here's number 3.
That's another one, right? That's another reason. Like, come on. He's got worms crawling through his brain. Like, is that not just the embodiment of like death and decay? Like, they could legitimately create like a World of Warcraft character based on him, and it would be like some like decaying, rotting corpse or whatever. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I think I might be right, people. I think I might be right.
I'll just read you the lead of the New York Post story, which we did just flash right there.
Okay.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr., an avid animal genitalia researcher in his spare time, once pulled the family sedan to the side of the road after spying a dead raccoon and swiftly cut off its sex organs so he could study them later. This account is in a new book that's coming out, RFK Jr., The Fall and Rise.
I'm sure he studied them, if you know what I'm saying.
I'm a New York Post journalist. And in it, Kennedy discusses this moment with the raccoon. So, you know, this is a man of science.
How did he cut it off? Like with what?
How do you find it?
And
This chyron is not sufficient. Sorry, because on the screen, this is too vague.
I already gave the visual, man. It had to be a pocket knife, right? If he was on like a family trip or something, then it just had to be whatever was on his keychain or like whatever he had in his pocket. So
Can we get this?
unless he literally brings like a Dexter kit for like animals everywhere he goes. Like he brings a little like Dexter style, like I'm gonna chop all these animal body parts when I get to wherever I'm going, so I better bring my kit. Like, I don't know, maybe.
It recoils.
How do you find the penis of a dead raccoon?
Wait, was it
How many
dead?
times have you asked
Was it
that?
dead?
That's a very good question.
I'm so
hold on. That's also
confused.
the Post reminds me. I've
Who's
sold
dead?
him short.
Who's dead?
Let's remember the time that he also found the whale carcass and used a chain.
There's another one. I knew there was more than just the bear and the raccoon. Yeah, I was thinking there was like a mammalian fish out there that are like a mammal from the sea, but I couldn't remember if it was a whale carcass or a dolphin or what. But yeah, I completely forgot. Like I completely forgot that he did something with that.
Let's remember the
I forgot
time
what
that
he
he
did.
also found the whale carcass and used a chainsaw to cut off the whale. I mean, this is, first of all, again, tremendous reporting here by the New York Post. This is what we need.
Pulitzer Prize.
If there was
Pulitzer
thought.
Prize. He strapped it to the family minivan. It does not appear to be Mika to answer your question, detailing as to how he did it. But I assume a man of science like this would just carry the tools with him at any time in
The
case
Dexter
he encounters
kit.
a dead animal, which he needs to sever its penis.
Every part
Mika
of the buffalo you use.
That's
she is speechless, dude. I mean, I think that she's being a little bit, hamming it up for the camera, which I get it. I get it. I sometimes do that too. But
As the proverb says.
That's a long
During
stop
the
with kids in the car.
conversation, we
Buffalo
have
penis.
Yeah.
the
You know what's
host-
amazing
in
about
charge of
Morning?
the
You know
nation.
what's amazing about Morning Joe? You can watch it for 20 years, yet there's always something new. Joe saying, chopping off the penis of a raccoon. This is why you turn into Morning Joe. The unexpected
Journalism.
becomes the norm.
Yeah.
Maybe a regular segment.
What's wrong with this man?
We-
I mean, there's something really wrong with him. There's something
Well,
really
Mika,
wrong
you're
with him.
asking.
yeah, he's the beacon of health, right? He's the beacon of the healthy MAGA person. That's what he is. The fourth horseman of the apocalypse, death.
You're asking the question that family members and close friends have been asking
No, I
literally
know
for
that.
decades now.
And there's a really serious
they used to ask,
part of this.
They used to ask that question. Now all of America gets to ask the question, thanks to Republican senators.
May I add end with the kicker of the story here? I think it's worth noting. New York Post, perfectly understated. Here's the end of the story. So far, the results of Kennedy's rigorous whale head and raccoon penis studies have not been publicly disclosed.
Saving it for a book.
Yeah, he's saving it. He's categorically encyclopediaing all of the different types of animal penis. I don't know. Maybe he's some sort of twisted genius or something. I don't know, but that seems a little too much for me.
We demand transparency.
I don't even know what to say. I just know that there is a serious side to this, and the family storyline is really deeply troubling. This is a deeply
Mike, I'm afraid
person.
what you're going to say.
Yes, Mike.
Has anyone asked the Raccoon's family?
Make it appropriate. And
what's the segue into a real story from this?
Peter Baker will say this.
I'm hoping for the war in Iran. Can we?
Cutting off oil.
Well,
cutting off penis.
That's a good one.
It reminds me. Here's the segue. It reminds me. Of a time when Peter Baker and I were driving up I-684. Let's bring in New York Times White House correspondent.
Part of that.
Peter.
This dude's like, come on, man. Why do I have to come after this story?
Baker. Mr. Baker, would you like to comment on the rigorous research that
I would love to. I think that I could get them on board with my theory of him being the fourth horseman of the apocalypse.
The HHS has been undergoing for years. What can you tell us about RFK Jr. and this?
Which of us hasn't? Come on, before we throw stones. Yeah.
Glass houses.
Oh my God.
He's gonna be testifying on the Hill. I'll be fascinated to see if anybody actually brings this up. But it's the timing is pretty special, let's say.
I didn't watch that one. I'm just gonna wait for clips to come out. It was like 4 hours. Like, it's way too much going on. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and move on. It's about an hour and 40 into my broadcast, so I'm going to read this. I'm going to read an article now. This one seems funny to me. So I'm going to read this one. I usually try to kind of, that last story really got me laughing. That was a fun one. I really liked that. So I'm going to try and keep the vibes up. We're going to talk about... Okay. So now we're gonna we just learned about RFK's chopping penises off of dead raccoons, and you might think like that smells really bad. Bear with me. This is a segue. You know what else smells really bad? All the people at Coachella. Was that good? I don't know. You tell me. Leave a note in the comment if you like that transition. Okay, we're gonna talk about Justin Trudeau. Guys, I think Justin Trudeau might be having a little bit of a midlife crisis. He started dating Katy Perry, and all of a sudden he is, and I guess he's no longer the Prime Minister of Canada, or he was Canada, right? Trudeau. I always get him and Macron. Macron is definitely France. Okay, I always get him and Macron mixed up in my head. So. I think he was, Prime Minister of Canada or something. And ever since he's been ousted, he's been going on a tear, as is evidenced by this picture of him and Katy Perry right here. Two people who have fallen off more than I think. If someone can name somebody who has fallen off more than these two, I would be impressed. These two, like when Katy Perry went from like the top of the world, like the biggest pop star in the world, potentially, to like doing a photo shoot for NASA and everybody getting mad at her. Like she fell off real hard. And Justin Trudeau, he went from being the prime minister of a big ass country to what you're seeing right here. So anyway, this is too long of an intro probably, but you know what? It's my stream and I do what I want. So let's go ahead and read this article. This is Justin Trudeau at Coachella. That's just wrong. At a certain age, things must change. By Emma Brox. Is this going to be an ageist thing? Am I going to have to go report Emma Brox to the HR department for being ageist? Let's find out. If you have to consult the Reddit theme and the Reddit thread, am I too old for Coachella? Then the answer is probably yes. Well, maybe. Let's see. This morning over breakfast, in the course of discussing the week's news, I happened to say the word Coachella in front of my two scornful 11-year-olds, whose heads snapped up from their screens in unison. Have you heard of Coachella? Said one in amazement. Have you heard of Coachella? I replied. They exchanged a look with which I've become increasingly familiar, namely the here we go, the classic, the eye roll look reserved by the very young for the very middle-aged. What is Coachella then? I said, to which they replied, it's where influencers go. Maybe I'm showing my age here, but I thought it was where music happened. Am I wrong? Is it no longer where music happens? Maybe I might be showing my age here. This is, of course, an accurate summary of what the California Music and Arts Festival has become in the 27 years since its inception, but that's not why I bring it up. The festival, which is running this week, has featured Jack White, FKA Twigs, sorry if I butchered these names. I know Jack White and I know Sabrina Carpenter. I know her. I don't know if I know FKA Twigs. I'm not the biggest music guy. I have very specific taste when it comes to music, and it's not generally pop music. But most of the publicity has gone on the audience, specifically on the attendance of Justin Trudeau, the former Prime Minister of Canada, who, along with his girlfriend Katy Perry, was photographed dancing to Justin Bieber and squatting chairless on a curb, red plastic cups perched on their knees. Okay, I gotta look this up. I'm gonna pull it over real quick just to make sure. Oh yeah, that was just the photo that we saw earlier. So this is them. This is the picture. Okay. So it's that photo of Trudeau in college-age uniform, scruffy jeans, white t-shirt, and a baseball cap worn backwards, and what looks to me like a definite reach for a modern-day JFK Jr. vibe. Good luck with that, Trudeau. That invites us to consider the relationship of middle-aged people to music festivals and conclude that at some point, perhaps the dignified thing is to call it a day. One second. Let me pull up. Okay. Let me open this image. I am getting this vibe a lot. I'm not gonna lie. I am getting this vibe. Like right here. Right here. It is different. It is different. He's much older. However, I mean, the vibes are the same though. Okay. The dignified thing, sometimes the dignified thing is to call it a day, is what Bella, whatever her name, Emma Brox. God, I'm so bad with names. Do you worry about staying hydrated? Do you co-host an investment podcast while giving serious thoughts to which Amex cards generate the most points? Obvious over Platinum Forever. I do not do that. And I also do not co-host an investment podcast. I do host the amazing, wonderful YouTube channel that is Technically Clay. And so I am technically an influencer as well. So maybe I can still go. But did you pay more than $2,000 for your ticket, then turn up in a climate-controlled RV before putting on your festival wardrobe to go out looking for 20-somethings to brush past slightly too closely? Yuck. Then no, I did not do that. Then maybe, just maybe, you might think about leaving the scene to the enjoyment of young people. I think I could still, I think I could still make it through. I wouldn't do an RV or anything, but I think I could make it through Coachella, probably. Is Coachella one of the ones that you have to camp out though? I don't know if I would really want to camp out. I might, if there's a hotel / shuttle way to do it, then I think I could do it. But I did, what's the one in Chicago again? Lollapalooza. I did Lollapalooza, I think, last year. And that was pretty fun. I'm talking more about middle-aged men than women here, since it's a specific kind of man who turns up at Coachella to express his anxieties about middle age. In the case of Trudeau, who is 54, okay, attending a music festival obviously comes a distant second to dating Katy Perry as an expression of midlife crisis. I'm not so sure. I think attending a music festival and dressing like this is probably more of a sign of a midlife crisis than dating Katy Perry. Katy Perry is like washed, so I just see her as like a washed pop star that, like, yeah, dating, I think, would date anyone. It is kind of weird to be a former politician dating Katy Perry, but anyway, nonetheless, he is part of the general influx of tech, finance, and business bros who have plugged the annual music festival into their calendars, driving up ticket prices and injecting a certain narrow-eyed, lizardy energy into the scene. I agree with that. These people are, of course, perfectly entitled to enjoy popular music, but glancing at the photo of Trudeau and Perry, or in years past at Coachella, Danny DeVito, often pictured backstage, it's hard not to feel one's spirits sink. I mean, I just don't like rich people in general, like, to be honest. So when I don't really like seeing, like, especially tech oligarchs and tech bros and stuff, out in public. Like, it would just make me annoyed and want to go punch them in the face. But I would probably try to restrain myself so I don't get tackled by, you know, a 300-pound security guards. To be fair to Trudeau, it may be that some of this recoil has to do with the reputation of his 41-year-old girlfriend, widely considered to be out of touch and facing her own problems this week, having to deny an accusation of sexual assault by the actor Ruby Rose. I didn't even know about that. I just knew that she was, yeah, completely out of touch when she did that girl boss NASA photo shoot, which is like, what the fuck are you doing right now in this political climate? Okay. I wouldn't want to run into Katy Perry at my local co-op, let alone an event I'd paid hundreds of dollars to attend. I'm also aware of the argument furthered by veteran festival goers who return to Glastonbury every year and have been taking their kids since they were 4 years old. I tip my hat to these people and would be one of them if I didn't hate tents and milling about. Clearly, people like this should carry on doing things that they love until they drop dead. Plus, it's likely that I shouldn't be expressing an opinion about any of this, given that while making the packed lunches this morning, I was happily listening to the soundtrack to The Phantom of the Opera. She's one of those people, theater kid. Yeah, I mean, I think that as long as you mind your own business and you're not being weird, you can go to these concerts at any age. In fact, when I go to, like, you know, rock concerts and stuff, I love seeing older people there. I think it's just when you're creepy or when you're a billionaire, that's when it's a little bit like, and when you're a politician, a former politician, a president of a country, or prime minister, sorry, Canada, and you're going around looking like this and like pretending to be one of the youths, it's a little bit jarring, I think. But yeah. Anyway, it's not those people I'm talking about. It's the ones who only started going to Coachella when they hit 50 and who fail to understand that if you have to consult the Reddit thread, am I too old for Coachella? Then the answer is probably yes. Consider the following. You'll get stuck in the Uber line trying to get out and need the loo for 4 hours. You'll be too hot. You'll have to sit on a curb and a lot of it will go over your head. Okay. When I asked my 11-year-olds what it was about Coachella content this week that caught their eye, they said, and I had to write this down verbatim after getting them to repeat it several times, Carter Kinch dressed up as an actual Pinky, then got a shout out from Cat's Eye on stage. Then they both laughed like this was the funniest thing that had ever been said. No, me neither. In which case, we should probably stay out of it. I mean, I don't care about knowing. I don't think you need to know what the youth are into to partake in, you know, festivals like this. I think it's really about, I think it's, there's two things happening here. Number one, he's a former president, like a former politician. That's like already you're kind of in the status of the elites, right? Same with Katy Perry. She's like a former pop star. I mean, I guess technically current pop star, but she's a former pop star. And so she is in the realm of the elites. She probably, like, you know, if they get their own private, like, tent or whatever, they just go out and do their thing and don't make a scene, I guess, whatever, right? Like, rich people are going to be rich people. I would still be annoyed to see them there. But the other thing is when you are 50 years old and you are, I think really the problem is that he's dressing like this. And the backwards cap in particular. If he just didn't have the backwards cap in this photo, maybe it wouldn't be that bad. If he was wearing a forwards cap, if he just turned that cap 180 degrees, I think it would make a huge difference in people accepting him as just a normal person to be attending a music festival. So, okay, that was a pretty funny one. I think I had a lot of fun with that one. Let's go ahead and move on to x.com and then we'll get out of here. What's going on in the world of X? Probably nothing good, but maybe something good. Who knows? Uh-oh, Pope Leo, he's posting about it again, people. He's in the he's in the fight. He's in the fight. He's ready to die on this sword. Woe to those who manipulate religion and the very name of God for their own military, economic, and political gain, dragging that which is sacred into darkness and filth. That's a pretty badass quote. 287,000. Oh my gosh. Man, the Pope is so popular. Yeah, I mean, that's something that I say all the time. I mean, I don't say it from a religious aspect. I say it from a secular aspect, but particularly American Christianity is like just I mean, it's just white supremacy in a trench coat. Like, it's just like, I'm sorry to burst all my American Christian brothers and sisters out there bubble, but it has been so warped from the origins of what Christianity is, broadly speaking. Like, I'm not saying like every church or every congregation or even every churchgoer is. I'm sure there's plenty of them that do actually, you know, believe the words of Jesus and stuff or whatever. And particularly for me, I think Jesus was an incredible political figure in history. But I think that the vast majority of Americans just use Christianity as a tool to further their whatever goal they have, whether that's political, military, whatever, right? I think that's by and large what America Christianity is for, is supporting the goals of the, you know, the worst aspects of the American State Department. So anyway, there you go. That's my 2 cents. Making Los Angeles more walkable and improving its public transit isn't just good for commuters. It's how we make the city more interconnected to feel like a community. I talked with @Hassan the Hun on Ice Out Day in January about it. Let's improve our livability together. Yeah, I love walkable cities. I like that my city, at least where I live, is kind of walkable. It's nice. Oh, we got the top 10 anti-Semites. We already went over this. I always say, okay, this person's coming at it from a left perspective, which is how I come at these lists. This is Hadidi. I don't really know her, but they say keep opposing genocide, ethnic cleansing, and you just might make it into 2027. Yeah, I mean, some of these people are actual anti-Semites, and some of these people are just good people, like people who oppose genocide. And so, yeah, they're really trying to make that conflation happen. And I think to some extent it is working, where a lot of people have a hard time, like a lot of average like Joe Schmo people who aren't tuned into politics or understand, you know, the political ideology of Zionism and all that sort of stuff. Like a lot of them do have a hard time seeing the difference between someone who is coming at the state of being against the state of Israel for the apartheid system that it has set up over the past 80 years, versus somebody who just comes at it from a I hate the Jews perspective. I think for the average person, it's really hard for them to see the difference. And this sort of list is really not helping anybody. But the primary difference is eventually people like Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson, and I don't know who else on this list, but they will eventually, you know, they already kind of have verbally turned on the Jews, but they will be the ones who will be leading the charge to start throwing Jews into the ICE detention centers or whatever, right? And you know, start putting them all in, concentrating them, if you will, in the ICE detention centers. And when that happens, you know, we on the left, Greta Thunberg and Bassam Youssef included, will be out there protesting, trying to get them out. And that's probably the main difference. We are ideologically on the exact opposite ends of the right-left spectrum. But it's the Americans don't even really understand right-left dynamics, so it's hard for them the average person to tell the difference. Let's see what else we got. Hassan Abi, he had Amy Goodman, I guess, I assume on his podcast, or on his stream. I'd have to watch that. I haven't seen that yet. Okay. Oliver Larkin. This is a crazy photo, dude. What's this? Who's Wendy? I probably can't listen to this if I had to guess. Okay, yeah. I can't listen to that. That's got copyrightable stuff. I'm trying to be better now of not getting copyright stuff, taking my stuff down. I just said stuff way too many times. What else we got? Oh, this is a good one. Yeah, I forgot that they did a vote today. I think I was gonna try and cover this, but I might have just ran out of time or something. But they did a vote in, I think, the Senate where they were trying. It was Bernie Sanders' bill to block. There were two resolutions, I think. One was to block bulldozers being shipped to Israel. They're Caterpillar bulldozers, which are BDS, by the way. So if you ever see a Caterpillar, you know, anything out there, this is also just completely unrelated to what I was just saying. I want to go ahead and say my famous quote that I like to say: property crime is not a real crime if it's for a good cause. That's completely unrelated to what I was just saying. But yeah, so there's this Caterpillar bulldozers. Are Caterpillar in particular is the brand. They're big yellow and they have big black squares on them that say cat on them or whatever. You can't miss them. But that's completely unrelated to what I just said for everybody out there listening. But yeah, they voted to try and stop sending bulldozers, which are just used for, you know, genocide. Like they're just used for trying to destroy the culture and the traditions of the people of Gaza. Like that's the whole reason that they are bulldozing all of these buildings, and also to just try and cover the bodies, like all of the atrocities that they committed, the mass graves that they've created, try and cover that with as much rubble as possible. They won't stay hidden forever. We always find them eventually, but they will cover them up and keep them hidden for potentially, you know, decades, unfortunately. But yeah, so there was a resolution for that. They both failed. Oh, the other one was to block the bombs, the normal Bernie Sanders bill to block the bombs. Which is to just not send any arms to Israel. So I think that, let me see if I can see if they have any information on who, I can't remember. I'm trying to find a list of who voted against Block the Bombs Act. Okay, here we go. Here we go. This will hopefully be helpful for people. So the 7 Democrats who joined Republicans in opposing measure to block arms sales to Israel. We know that this is April 16th. Yeah, this is modern. We know that all the Republicans are demons. They're all evil. They all support genocide. There's a significant portion of the Democratic Party as well that is evil and supports genocide, as is evidenced by this. But let's see if, I was hoping they just have a list. Okay, they do have a list. Chuck Schumer, boo, the worst. Get him the fuck out of there. Go die already. Chuck Schumer, he voted to keep bombs flowing to Israel so that they can consider their genocides across the region on all of their neighbors all the time, 24/7, indefinitely for the foreseeable future. Kristen Gillibrand, also, ew, gross. Senator Chris Coons, I don't really know much about Chris Coons. Well, yeah, okay, so he sounds... Yeah, my vote should be taken neither as an endorsement of the actions of the Netanyahu government, nor as the abandonment of the state of Israel. The Jewish people or the U.S. relationship. Okay, dude. Yeah, so he sounds like he sucks. Of course, everybody's favorite used to be a Democrat until he had a stroke and his brain died, and now he is a Republican, John Fetterman, the ogre himself. Of course, if there's any piece of legislation that is good, John Fetterman will vote against it. He is just a Republican. at least since the stroke. Senator Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut. Blumenthal did not immediately comment. Blumenthal, I don't know a whole lot about him. I'm not one of these people who like knows every single member of Congress and like what all they've done in the past. I know some of the big names though. Catherine Cortez Masto of Nevada, no idea about her. Senator Jackie Rosen of Nevada, 2 Nevadas, interesting. Okay. Yeah. So all of those people, if one of these people live in your state, unfortunately, none of them live in my state. I live in Missouri. So, but if they live in your state, make sure they know that like this shit sucks. They gotta go. Anyway, oh man, I forgot what even started that, but let's go ahead and watch this video. They're going to talk about the bulldozers. This lady, Rachel Corrie, I think was an American citizen who was killed, I think in Gaza or maybe the West Bank, protesting Israel's bulldozing of Palestinian homes and Palestinian lands. So let's go ahead and watch this.
For those who don't remember, I asked them to recall the case of Rachel Corrie, a 23-year-old American peace activist who was killed by an Israeli bulldozer trying to block the razing of buildings in Rafah over 20 years ago. Rachel Corrie has never gotten any justice, and her family will tell you that today.
Yeah, and in case you want to know, like they legitimately bulldozed her. Like the Israeli occupation force that was driving that bulldozer literally just straight up ran over her and killed her. And in case you're unaware, bulldozers go like a mile an hour. Like they're the slowest things under the sun. So it was completely intentional, a total complete war crime, and America does not give a shit. Does not give a shit about its citizens. If the citizens end up being against the state of Israel, they will always support the state of Israel over American citizens.
In fact, just since January of 2022, at least 9 more American citizens have been killed by extremist Israeli settlers or security forces in the West Bank.
What did I just say? America does not care about you as a citizen. It will always care about the state of Israel more than you. Am I okay? I'm still live. Sorry, I saw it glitch for a second. I don't know what was going on.
And not one of them, not one, has gotten justice.
Nope.
Just like Rachel Corrie.
They probably never will, at least not until America actually separates from Israel, which, I mean, we're a lot closer to now than we were 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I guess, at this point. So I'm seeing a sea change that is happening. It's happening a lot faster than most people, including me, could have ever expected. I really did not expect everybody. I mean, I guess I didn't really expect everybody's minds to change this fast, but I also didn't expect Israel to go as insane as it did, and its accelerating of its descent into Nazism. Like I didn't really expect them to go that insane. I thought that they would have. I also thought America would have restrained them to some extent for their own good, like restrain them so that like this severing doesn't happen, like where the American people like don't immediately associate them like with the Nazis and like being essentially just fascist settler colonialists. So America's inability to restrain Israel, both under Biden and under Trump, along with Israel's like acceleration towards Nazism at a pace that I don't know if it has ever existed before in history. Like its descent into the worst aspects of like the end stage fascism or whatever that the Nazis had happened so quickly that I think that a lot of people just were so shocked that it actually, you know, the sea changed a lot faster than I thought it would. So we're closer today than we ever were. It's a 90-10 issue on the Democrat side. And you'll notice also that it's like almost inverted. Like it's like a 90-10 issue the opposite way when it comes to actually, I guess not for voting for these things nowadays. Like, people are starting to realize that they can't get elected. But in terms of like the ideology, though, I would say of most of the people in Congress and in the Senate, especially in leadership roles, is still aligned with Israel, or trying to find ways to not to be able to pretend to be anti-Israel, but not materially have it impact Israel at all. So anyway, that was a long one for that 45-second clip. But okay, let's keep going. What else do we got? I don't know about that. Osborne, Sharon Osborne attending a Tommy Robinson march proves kneecap were right about her. I don't know who Tommy Robinson is. Is that a prominent neo-Nazi or something that I should know? Far right. Oh, I think I've seen this guy's face before. Yeah, okay, I've seen this guy. Is he the one that got punched? I thought one of them got punched. Maybe it was somebody else. Maybe it was somebody else. Okay. Let's keep going. Ugh. This yeah, Disturbed. I knew this was Disturbed. God, I hate this guy so much. This is the lead singer of Disturbed, a band that I used to actually listen to back when I was much younger. I haven't listened to anything from them in probably the past, like, God, like 15 years at least. But I'm definitely not ever going to listen to anything by them again, because this is the most depraved shit that people do. This is the guy from Disturbed signing a bomb to go blow up women and children in Gaza. It is depraved. I think he's writing "fuck Hamas" on it. Yeah, "fuck you" is what you should have wrote, or fuck me, I guess, is what he should have wrote. Yeah, this shit sucks. But an open letter to @Billy. This is by Roger Waters. Dear Billy Corgan, how are you? It's been too long. Someone forwarded me this chap's appearance on your podcast. I'd never heard of him. Anyway, it turns out he has heard of me. It seems he has a problem with me standing up for human rights, particularly the human rights of my brothers and sisters in Gaza, who are being slaughtered in a genocide by the armed forces of the Nazi racist pariah state of Israel. You, being the lovely fella you are, gave this little piece of shit a chance to clarify or even modify his position. He did. He is a psychotic racist Nazi pig. I agree. I'm told he writes messages on bombs before the IDF drops them on civilians in Gaza. And I've said I will continue to work with all my brothers and sisters all over the world in the movement to demand equal human rights for all human beings, irrespective of their religion, ethnicity, or nationality. If you, my friend, are wondering if I want a conversation with this obnoxious little prick, the answer is non merci, Billy. Life's too short. He can inhabit this tiny corner of hell without the benefit of my love and truth. Love, R. Yeah, and also when this was happening, it was before I was streaming, but I was telling people that, like, this is going to be some of the most atrocious pictures that are going to come out of, like, the atrocities committed or like the evilness and atrocities committed against, like, during the genocide in Gaza, like, in the future. He will never be able to live this down. I think also Seinfeld has signed bombs as well. And in the future, when this is well regarded as one of the worst atrocities akin to the Holocaust of the modern era, these people will be seen as the Nazis that they were and the Nazi supporters that they were. And that's one of the few things that gets me through the day when I see people doing atrocious shit like this, is that history will be incredibly mean to them, just like I am being right now, and like this guy is being in this post. Okay. My voice is starting to go. It's 2 hours and 10 minutes. I'm going to try to find a funny one and get out of here. So let's watch this one. This is, are you tired of the two-party system? Butch Ware for Cali Gov. Yes, I am tired. Thank you, Butchware. Please tell me what we can do about it. Let's go.
Democrats got a candidate, Eric Swallowwell. Pause on that nigga whole name. He was born to be a freak. Now, you know I can't fuck with no Republicans, but the two-party shit is just, ugh. Like, I just saw Gavin Newsom's interesting video.
I will not vote for a candidate that takes $1 from AIPAC. It's interesting. It's interesting. I haven't thought about AIPAC. It's interesting. Which is interesting.
Yo, this nigga short-circuited like R2-D2. C-3PO is not a Zionist. It's so funny to me because it embodies the corporate Democrats' tremendous morality problem. Like, they present themselves as the opposite to the MAGA movement's proud immorality. Yes, I'm a racist. What's wrong with that? What's up, my Nazi? And that's a real thing they said on Fox News. Here's my thing with the Dems. Nancy Pelosi takes a knee and a dashiki to make palatable her running up hundreds of millions on a stock market. Trump attacks DEI and all immigrants to make him palatable to his base while running up billions. Both of y'all just robbed us. The question is, do you want a kente cloth bag or a swastika joint? The homie Joshua Doss made a great point about elections as negotiations, which I generally agree with. That's why I find myself supporting the Democrats, because I feel like I can negotiate with them begrudgingly. But if I'm being real, I don't want to vote for the lesser of two evils. I want to vote for someone not evil. How about a good person? That's why I support Butch Ware for Cali governor. He's third party, pro-black, pro-immigrant, anti-imperialist, pro-Palestine, pro-working class. Fuck. Is there so much to ask? Look, my feelings about electoral politics are not entirely developed, but I do know if they try to run Gavin Newsom 9 reading ass when I get to the ballot box, I'm gonna forget how to read. It's gonna be interesting. I wrote an essay about my gym.
And that's a threat, people. That's a threat. If you put Gavin Newsom out there, if you force him, anoint him like you did for Kamala Harris, he's gonna lose a lot of people's votes. Like this guy. Yeah, that's a threat. So don't do it, Democrats. Don't shoot yourself in the foot yet again.
General disillusionment with political parties. So my Substack, comment, subscribe to read.
And you guys think you can win without us? We'll see. You think you can win without the lefties, without people like me who go out and canvass for Cori Bush? We'll see. If you really want to go that route again, I mean, I can't stop you. I wish I could, but I can't stop you. So, you know, that's your choice to make, but that's, if you want to lose, that's what you do. What else we got? I watched a lot of this one the other day, the Ilhan Omar, Adam Friedland one. It was pretty good, but I don't really feel like watching it right now. I'm looking for something funny, and Adam Friedland is notoriously not funny. I'm just kidding. He's pretty funny. He's funny sometimes. But I don't know if that clip was funny. What's this one? This could be funny. Let's see. It's 6 seconds. Bobert, why is everybody so horny here?
Yeah, go to church. Find Jesus. Like, I mean, why is everybody so horny here? Yeah, go to church.
You can
Find
barely
Jesus.
hear it.
Like, I mean, why is everybody so horny here?
Didn't you get caught jerking a guy off during the Beetlejuice musical? Is what Emma Vigeland said, which is a good point. We should always remember that. What else we got? Saikat Chakrabarti. Breaking. Oh yeah, that's, I think, the block the bomb stuff. Or to end Trump's. The House just failed to pass a resolution with Iran by 1 vote. The count was 213 to 214. Just one Democrat voted to let Trump keep waging the war. Oh man, what a surprise, people. The exact right amount of Democrats, in this case one, went across party lines to ensure the war continues. Oh, I'm so surprised. I'm so surprised. Not. Is that still a thing? Is that too old? That might be too old. I should stop doing that. That's the first time I've done that in probably years. So, okay. Let's see this one. This is Fox News talking about Hassan, going full Hassan derangement. Let's go.
The left's new golden boy Twitch streamer doesn't even try to hide it. 34-year-old Hassan Piker not only hates America, he's hinting at a civil war.
This seems like, I don't know if I can actually listen to that because there's a song in the background. Okay, we're looking for something fun. No context. This is no context majority report with no context on the post itself. So this is super no context. So if this, I don't know, this could be funny. It could not be funny. We'll see what happens. If it's funny enough, though, this is going to be the last one, people. So, you know, hold on to your pants.
All right. See you in the fun half. We are back, and what we've decided is we are doing a freebie Wednesday because Brian closed the wrong stream, which is totally fine, and don't beat yourself up over it.
I didn't know we were announcing it to everybody.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. No, it's fine. I was doing it because I have the interest of the listeners at heart.
Oh, yes, right. Right.
He's sabotaging. He's sabotaging. He is pro... he's pro the viewer, just like I am. So he was intentionally sabotaging, engaging in workplace disobedience in order to give everybody the content that they so deserve.
Because I have the interest of the listeners at heart.
Oh, yes, right.
I wanted them to
right.
have free.
You're not in favor of enclosure and paywalls.
Right. I'm tearing it down from the inside.
I should have realized that. It was actually a revolutionary act and not an act of horrible incompetence.
Okay, I think that was good. It got a big laugh out of me at the end. That was good. Good timing, comedic timing on that last sentence. Emma, you got me. You got me. And that means that the stream has to end. I'm sorry, people. I know you don't want it to, but all good things must come to the end. But hey, I got good news for you. There's going to be another stream tomorrow. So you can park your ass right in front of the computer and watch me again, or the phone, or the laptop, or your Goon Cave, or wherever you watch me from. God, I got to get out of here. I got to get over here. Okay, thank you all for watching the stream, and if you're watching the VOD, love you too. I'll see you in the next one. This has been Technically Clay, and the stream is technically over. Bye bye.